Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Talking Ball podcast. I'm your host, Chase. This is episode number 26 for you. We got two NFL football games. Obviously, the conference championship games went on this weekend. We have the Super Bowl matchup we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks, a week from this weekend. We got some NFL news, a bunch more hirings, firings, retirements, stuff like that. In the NFL coaching space, a little bit of news from basketball, and then we go into basketball, talking about that this week. And yeah, so it's going to be another shorter episode, obviously, because only two football games to talk about. I'm going to try to do my best to talk about them in depth, but we'll see what happens. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the NFC Championship game, it was a good one. Bucks, Packers. The Bucks won 31-26. It was a really, really good game. A lot of turnovers from both teams, really. The Bucks, Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers threw an interception, and Aaron Jones had a fumble that the Bucks recovered. The Bucks sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. Shaq Barrett got 3 of them, and Jason Pierre-Paul had 2 of them. So, like I said, the defense needs to step up, and the defense stepped up for the Bucks in this one. Obviously, the best defense in the league. Some of the best defenders in the league: Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul in the D-line. Devin White, Levante David at the linebacker spots, and they got a good secondary as well. Leonard Fournette played really well. You know, he had 55 yards on a really nice touchdown run. Brady also threw 3 touchdowns, 1 to Miller, 1 to Evans, and 1 to Brait. And Chris Godwin led the way with receiving at 110 yards. And as for the Packers, they did have 3 interceptions off of Brady. Jair Alexander having 2 of them, and then Adrian Amos having the other one. One of them was a meh throw out of a sack. Brady was about to get sacked. He just threw it up to Mike Evans, and it got picked. What are you going to do? Aaron Rodgers played well, considering. He had 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick. No run game for the Packers in this one, with Aaron Jones having 27 yards to lead the way. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had 115 yards and a touchdown, and then Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan each had a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. I said it last week, man. This game was going to come down to defense, and the Bucks defense needed to make stops, and they did. The Packers defense made a lot of stops as well, but the Packers, they couldn't capitalize. Off of 3 interceptions, they scored 12 points. They scored 12 points off of the 3 interceptions Brady threw. You got to score more points than that. That's 740. That's 21. That's 9 points you just left off the board from 3 interceptions. You had 3 interceptions and you only got 12 points out of it. Yeah, like I said, it was gonna have to come down to defense for the Bucks and making big plays. You know, Gronk had a big chunk play. Leonard Fournette's rushing touchdown was a huge play. Scotty Miller's touchdown was a huge play. Kevin King got burnt everywhere he went. Mike Evans and Scotty Miller both scored their touchdowns while being guarded by Kevin King. He was just picked on a lot in that game, and he got taken advantage of. So the Bucks will play Kansas City, and I'll talk about a little bit about that after we talk about the AFC Championship game. But that's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun game. It's the GOAT versus the future GOAT. But yeah, Packers. What's next, man? Is Aaron Rodgers staying? Are you guys moving on? I think he's still got a lot left. Whether that a lot left stays in Green Bay or not, We'll see. Obviously, you guys drafted Jordan Love for a reason. You thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be gone soon. So, so who knows? What's going to happen? Maybe that whole team blows up, but... And yeah, as for the Bucks, it's going to have to be this defense again. You know, you got 2 of the top 5 tacklers in the playoffs so far in Levante David and Devin White. You had the best defense in the league, rushing-wise at least. You have Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul in the D-line up there. Leonard Fournette's the second leading rusher in the playoffs. And Tom Brady's the leading passer in the playoffs. And Sean Murphy-Bunting has the most interceptions in the playoffs. So, and yeah, as for teams, let me see, regular season, Kansas City was best offensively. Passing-wise, Tampa was second, and Kansas City's first. Sacks, Tampa Bay is 5th on total sacks in the season. I need defense. Defense yards allowed. They have the 6th best overall defense. Their passing defense needs some work, and that's going to be tough against Patrick Mahomes. They average 246 yards a game given up. That's worse than everybody except a few, but the Rams are the best with 190. I'm trying to find the Chiefs where they at. There they are. The Chiefs average 236 yards a game. But rushing wise is where Tampa Bay dominates, and you know the Chiefs aren't a rushing offense, so that defense is going to have to figure it out. They only allow 80.5 yards rushing a game. That's first, and second place is the Colts at 90.5. And they're a top 8 scoring team. The Patriots gave up less points than the Bucks did this season. That's crazy. And the Dolphins. But yeah, a very high-powered offense versus a very high-powered defense. High-powered in the rushing side. Their secondary is going to need some work, but I think they're doing pretty well so far in the postseason. It doesn't give you defensive stats in the postseason, so that's dumb. But you know, they gave up 350 to Aaron Rodgers, and only 27 yards to Aaron Jones. So the Bucks can win while giving up a ton of passing yards. So it's just all about, it's going to be a defensive battle in the Super Bowl. And then we're going to move on to the AFC Championship with the Chiefs and the Bills. I was really hoping for the Bills to pull it out. You know, I love the Bills. I always got to rep my division, even though the Patriots didn't make it. I like the Bills, though. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs was a great pickup for them. Jordan Poyer, who went to Astoria, I've talked about before. Watched him beat my high school in a state championship game while he played quarterback. So it would have been really cool to see Josh Allen make it to the Super Bowl. Jordan Poyer get there. Stephon Diggs, he deserves it for sure. They're going to be back, though. They're a really good team, and they're just going to get even better because they're very, very young. And, hey, it's the Chiefs. Man, they won the Super Bowl last year. Now they're on to the Super Bowl this year, so I don't blame them. I don't blame them. The Chiefs are really, really good. Really, really good. As for the game-wise, the Chiefs' defense played really well. They sacked Allen 4 times, and they did have an interception against him. Mahomes played really good. 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. 2 of them to Travis Kelce, who totaled 118 yards, and 1 of them to McCole Hardman. Tyreek Hill had 9 catches, 172 yards. Never found the end zone, but that's some efficiency right there. And they had 2 rushing touchdowns, one from Damian Williams and one from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Williams only gained 52 yards, but they scored 2 rushing touchdowns, so that's a big thing that the Bucs are going to have to deal with. As for the Bills, you guys need a running back. I mean, I like Devin Singletary. Don't get me wrong, Isaiah McKenzie's cool. What's his name? Zach Moss is cool. You just need somebody better. Josh Allen played all right. His completion was meh, 28 for 48. Missed 20 passes. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And he led their team in rushing. He ran the ball 7 times for 88 yards and led them in rushing, which, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of yards. Nobody scored a rushing touchdown. But Josh Allen was the leading rusher. In a playoff game, in a conference championship game, your quarterback's the leading rusher. Who's not like a running quarterback per se. Then Dawson Knox and Isaiah McKenzie each had a touchdown through the air. The Chiefs, I think the Chiefs have a better opportunity to win this game. The Super Bowl, that is. But I mean, it's Tom Brady. Anything can happen. Chiefs are going to have to play good. The Chiefs' defense is going to have to stop these receivers, which they can. They have a good secondary. L'Jarius Sneed, Tyrann Mathieu. They're good. They're good. Serrano, whatever his name is, Sorensen. Serrano. And yeah, I mean, it's the Chiefs. They have the best quarterback in the league right now. 2 of the fastest receivers in the league right now, and one of them is arguably like top 5 receiver. And the fastest. Best tight end in the league, Travis Kelce. Their run game is good. Damian Williams is good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is good. And Mahomes, obviously, is Mahomes. And their defense is good, too. Frank Clark, Chris Jones. Their linebackers are meh. They're okay. And their secondary is good. So, it's definitely going to be a battle in this game. I think the Bucs have the upper hand on the defensive side. And I think the Chiefs have the upper hand on the offensive side. It's just who has the bigger gap in... Like, who has the bigger gap in between each other? Whose defense is the Bucs defense better than the Chiefs offense? More than the Chiefs offense is better than the Bucs offense? That was a lot of words that I just said. Either way, it's going to be a fun game. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. I really want Brady to win. I'm a huge Brady fan, obviously. What's up? 10th Super Bowl. Crazy. Could be a 7th win. I'm obviously rooting for Tom Brady. I'm rooting for a good game, though. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like the Chiefs. I don't dislike either team here. If the Packers made it, I'll go Chiefs all the way. But either way, if Mahomes wins, he just adds on to his legacy. Adds on to, I'm going to be the GOAT in a few years. And if Tom Brady wins, I mean, I think he's already solidified as the GOAT. But that just cements it even more. I don't know. You pour more cement on it? I don't know. But maybe people who don't say he's the GOAT, if he wins this one, maybe they will. Because I was talking to myself about it. You make all these arguments about who the greatest quarterback is, but at the end of the day, you want the quarterback, you want the player in any sport that wins. At the end of the day, you could throw for, if you throw for 102 yards and the quarter and 2 touchdowns, and the quarterback on the other side throws for 600 yards, 3 interceptions, and a touchdown, and we win the game, I'm taking you every time. In the Super Bowl, say, I'm taking you. You just won the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter if you threw for 100 yards. The other guy threw for 600, but threw 3 interceptions, and we won. At the end of the day, it's about winning. And no, I don't think, when talking about the GOAT, I think winning needs to be not the only priority, but the top priority. I think when you're listing however your priority is for figuring out who the GOAT is, stats, wins, championships, the way they just play the game in general, because that matters. I think winning, like championships, need to be at the top. I don't care how you did it. I get like guys like Robert Horry has 6 rings in the NBA or something like that. Bill Russell obviously has 11, and he's not the greatest basketball player of all time. But you add everything together. Tom Brady is that. You add everything together. He's top 3 in pretty much every major statistical category in NFL history while still playing. And when he's behind people, it's like Drew Brees by a few hundred yards and a couple touchdowns, or Peyton Manning by a couple other stats. And then you look and you see he's been to 10 Super Bowls, and he's won 6. Well, he's been to 9 Super Bowls and he's won 6 of them. He's about to play in his 10th. Could win his 7th. That's more than that's more than most NFL franchises have. Let's see. The Steelers and the Patriots both have 6. The Steelers and Tom Brady both have 6. If Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, he will have more Super Bowls than any football team in NFL history, and any team in NFL history. Not player, I think. Well, no. Let me see. But who has the most rings? I think it's Charles Haley. I think has the most. Tom Brady has the most rings. Charles Haley. Does Charles Haley have 5? Charles Haley has 5. So Tom Brady's got the most. You know. Yeah. Tom Brady's got the most. 6, man. 6, and he's the only active player on this list. Everybody has 4. The lowest have 4, and it's a bunch of players with 4. Dang, Morton Anderson played 25 seasons and played in 1 Super Bowl and lost. Dang, that's crazy. 25 seasons, no Super Bowl dubs. Anyways, he's got the same amount of Super Bowls as any football team ever. You know. Ever. Steelers have 6. Tom Brady has 6. He might have 7. So if he wins, he has more Super Bowls than any team. In his personal home, he has more Super Bowl rings in his trophy case than the Pittsburgh Steelers have Lombardi trophies at their stadium. That's crazy. That's crazy, but yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about the GOAT. I want to win. I want a guy who wins. Tom Brady wins. Doesn't matter how he has to do it, he wins. You know, so and the discrepancy is huge. You know, the quarterback with the next most rings is Joe Montana with 4, and shoot, he's not even in some dudes' top 5s nowadays. And it's crazy. You know, I saw somebody said that Peyton Manning was like the 5th best quarterback ever. I think it was like Jordan Schultz or Adam Schefter on Instagram or something. I saw an Instagram comment that said Peyton Manning was the 5th best quarterback ever. 5th? 2 years ago, he was argued as the best. 2 years ago, it was him or Tom Brady. Now he's 5th? Over who? Over who? My top 5 would have to be Brady, Manning, Breeze, Joe Montana. I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers. Right, just off the top of my head, I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers at 5th. But Manning at 5? Come on, man. Who pays these guys? You're paying these guys to say Peyton Manning is the 5th best quarterback ever? Crazy. I don't know what happened to make Peyton Manning the 5th best quarterback. Drew Brees didn't win anything. Aaron Rodgers obviously didn't win anything in the past couple of years. So how is Peyton Manning falling that quick? I don't know. Anyways, we're going to move on to news. Lots of going on in the NFL, around the NFL. So, I never even gave a prediction. Man, it's going to be hard. I really want Brady to win, so I'm going to say Brady's going to win. I'm going to go Bucks 28, Chiefs 24. 28-24. I think it's 28-21, or I think it's 21-24, and then Brady drives down the field, scores a touchdown to win the game, and the Patriots win. I mean, the Bucks win. Anyways, we'll move on to news. So a couple releases for the Ravens. They start off with backup quarterback RG3. He played a bit when Lamar Jackson got hurt. Then RG3 got hurt, and Trace McSorley had to come in. So they are now releasing RG3. They also released Mark Ingram. So that was weird. I didn't think why. I don't know why they would release Mark Ingram. Is just a weird releasing. He played well. I mean, he's getting old. He might retire. Who knows? But we'll see. The Falcons hired a couple dudes. They hired Terry Fontenot. I hope that's how you say his name. As their general manager. He spent 16 seasons with the Saints, and most of them were as a player development scout for them. So good hire there. And they also hired Dean Pease to be their defensive coordinator. He was the Ravens defensive coordinator in 2017 and has been retired since. Now he is hired on as the Falcons defensive coordinator. The Lions hired Aaron Glenn to be their defensive coordinator. They were the Saints, or he was the Saints defensive backs coach since 2016. They also hired Anthony Lynn to be their offensive coordinator. He was the Chargers head coach for the last 4 seasons, and he went 33-31 in those seasons. I'm really surprised to not see him be hired as a head coach somewhere. Obviously, being a head coach for the last 4 seasons and not doing bad, he was over 500. And he had a young team. He had a young rebuilding team. He just got rid of his, franchise quarterback to get this rookie quarterback in, and then they fired him off after an okay season. And they had some very rough games here and there. Some games where they lose by 3 or less, and like a few of them. So tough season for Anthony Lynn, and just tough circumstance, wrong place, wrong time, really, for him. But he's now the Lions' offensive coordinator, so see how he can turn them around next season. The Rams hired Raheem Morris to be their defensive coordinator. He was the Falcons' defensive coordinator last year and stepped in as interim head coach when they fired Dan Quinn. So he will be the Rams' defensive coordinator now. See if, with that powerful defense, see what he can do. The Jags hired a couple people. They hired Trent Balkey to be their GM. He was their interim GM last season. They felt like he was doing a good job, so they hired him on as the actual GM. Good for him. Love seeing that. A little intern action, getting the call up. They also hired Darrell Bevell to be their offensive coordinator. He spent 14 years at various teams as their offensive coordinators. He spent some time in Seattle, some time in Green Bay, and some time in Detroit as an offensive coordinator. So the Jags pick up him. Phillip Rivers is retiring. I forget how old he is. He's like 36 or something. Jesus, why does Phillip Rivers not pop up when you type in Phillip? 39. Man, he's old. 39, yeah, with like 12 kids. But, yeah, great career. He's 5th in passing touchdowns and passing yards. He has 63,440 yards, 421 touchdowns, 200 interceptions. So, pretty good career for Phillip Rivers. Hall of Fame worthy? I think so. I think if you're top 5, you know, you look at some of these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, they threw for like 4,000 yards in their career. And they're a Hall of Famer. So, I think, you know, not anytime soon, but I think eventually Phillip Rivers will definitely at least be considered as a Hall of Famer. You know, never made it to a Super Bowl, but you know, he's a top 5 stat getter, which that's something, you know. The Steelers signed Dwayne Haskins. I thought this was a good signing. I like Dwayne Haskins. I think he's misunderstood. I think once he gets rid of his distractions and wants to become a good football player, I think he can. And I think Pittsburgh might be able to do that for him. You know, Big Ben's getting up there in age and declining in skill. And I think bringing in a young quarterback to maybe learn under him for 1 or 2 more years until Big Ben retires and then pass the keys on to Haskins, I think that's a very, very good move by the Steelers, for sure. Him and Josh Dobbs, they could be fighting for the backup quarterback spot. Release one of them, trade them. Who knows? But I like Dwayne Haskins. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's going to be a good quarterback if he get his head on straight. And then Steelers tight end Vance McDonald retires. Had a great career with the Steelers. You know, always a solid tight end, solid blocking guy, solid receiving tight end. Played 4 years in Pittsburgh and 4 years in San Francisco. So 8 years in the league. Had about 2K yards receiving, 15 touchdowns on his career. He's just a guy. Best jawline in the league. That thing is sharp. That thing will cut diamonds. Good career to him. And, yeah. Eagles hired Nick Sirianni as their head coach. He was the Colts offensive coordinator last 3 seasons. And last year, the Colts offense was pretty good. With Phillip Rivers and Jonathan Taylor. Their offense was pretty good. So, he's now the Eagles head coach. See what happens there with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts' situation. Packers executive legend Ted Thompson passed away this week. He was with the Packers since 2005. He retired in 2019 or 18. He's responsible for a lot for you guys, man. He's responsible for Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, all these guys. Aaron Jones, all these guys are playing. Ted Thompson is who you want to thank for that. So rest in peace to him. Sad day for Packers fans. Tough one. Vikings offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak retires. Big career for him. You know, coached a few teams. Played in the NFL for the Broncos. You know, he played. He coached in Houston for about 7 years, 8 years, and then coached Denver for 2 years after that. He won a Super Bowl in 2015 with Denver. 2016 he was fired. And now, and then he was hired as Minnesota's offensive coordinator last year. You guys got 1 year of Gary Kubiak, and then he was like, nah, I'm good. He really didn't have a job for 4 years, and then you guys give him a job, and then he retires after. I mean, he had a long career. He's been in the league, you know, as a coach since '95, coaching in Denver for about 10 years as an offensive coordinator. Goes to Houston to coach, head coach for 8 years. Was the offensive coordinator in Baltimore for a year in between, and then went to Denver, won a Super Bowl, got fired, and now he's in Minnesota. Offensive coordinates for 1 year and then leaves. Fair enough. I mean, he's been in the league for 15 years, so I can't blame him. The Bears promote Sean Desai to their defensive coordinator. He was their safeties coach last year, and obviously with Chuck Pagano retiring, they need another guy in the defensive coordinator chair. So, good for him. Getting that promotion. Love to see it. Greg Olsen, a.k.a. Banks High School football coach. Shout out to Cole Linehan. Coach Linehan, sorry. Greg Olsen retired. He's 6th in yards for a tight end with about 8,600, and he scored 60 touchdowns through his career. With Carolina, he was drafted by the Bears, played for the Bears for about 4 years, went to Carolina, really hit his stride from 2011 to 2019, played in Seattle this year, only played in 11 games. Played okay. I mean, he was a good piece for them. Pro Bowl 3 times from 2014 to 2016. 1,000-yard seasons every season there. Good career. Good career for Greg Olsen. And, yeah. Eric Fisher tears his Achilles in the AFC Championship game. Obviously, he will not be able to go in the Super Bowl. So tough break for them. Tough break for Eric Fisher. Get well soon for him. Maybe you'll get a ring at the end of it. Excuse me. That's it for football news. We only got 2 other little pieces of news. One basketball, one baseball, actually. It's a sad one for baseball, so. But the Rockets acquired Kevin Porter Jr. just for a second-round pick. I like Kevin Porter Jr. He had a little confrontation with Cavs coaches. He was upset that he wasn't upset that they got Taurean Prince, but he was upset that they gave Taurean Prince his locker, I guess. So I guess his locker in the locker room was taken by Prince or given to Prince, and Ken Porter didn't like that, so he threw soup, I believe, at Cavs coaches. After that, they were like, yeah, we need to get this guy out of here. So they did for a second-round pick, and I think that's a good pickup because Ken Porter Jr. is good. I think he's going to be a good basketball player. So good luck to him in Houston. Guard rotation crazy. And then for our baseball news, Hank Aaron passed away. Sad. Second most home runs of all time. Arguably first because Barry Bonds is first, and we all know how that story goes. Third most hits ever. Just really a not even a legend, man. Just when you think of baseball, you think of Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson, just trailblazers that just changed the game forever. And Hank Aaron is one of those guys. Just a legend. He embodies what baseball was, what baseball is. And may he rest in peace, man. Tough. It must have been a tough day in baseball. That's all I'm saying, Yeah, rest in peace. That's actually all I have for news and football, all that. We're going to basketball. We're not doing college basketball just because it got too much, and I didn't care to follow it. I just didn't really care. And I didn't want to force something that I didn't care about. I didn't keep up with it. I didn't watch it. So I think I'm just going to condense it down to NBA. I kind of was forcing college basketball because I had college football, but now college football's over. Now we're just going to do NBA. And I can talk a little bit more now about it. We're at about 38 minutes. So we'll get into it. Fun week in basketball, for sure. Fun week. See anything crazy? The Cavs beat the Nets. They beat the Nets twice this week. The first one was on Wednesday. They beat them by 12 in double overtime, 147 to 135. And Colin Sexton had 42 points. Joel Embiid dropped 42 and 10 against the Celtics. Trae Young had 38 points against the Pistons in overtime. Kendrick Nunn off the bench lit up the Raptors for 28 points. DeAndre Ayton had a good 26 points, 17 rebound game. LeBron 34 points, 6 threes in a win against the Bucks. And Donovan Mitchell had 36 points and 6 threes in a win against the Pelicans. R.J. Barrett lights up the Warriors for 28 points in a win. Second Celtics 76ers matchup. Also a win for the 76ers with Embiid putting up 38 points, 11 rebounds, but Jaylen Brown had 42 for the Celtics. They're missing Jason Tatum for sure. Hawks and Timberwolves. Trae Young puts up 43, making 8 3-pointers. Clint Capella had a monster game, 13 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 blocks. The triple-double with blocks, baby. Clint Capella. And he still isn't even a league leader in blocks. And he had 10 in one game. Luka puts up 36 points and 11 assists on the Spurs. Embiid still just destroys everybody. 33 points and 14 rebounds against the Pistons. Naz Reid is a name I never thought I would have to type out. In a Timberwolves win against the Pelicans, he had 20 points. Not a lot, but it's a leading scorer, Naz Reid. Hell yeah. OG Anunoby put up 30 against the Pacers. Jokic had 29 points and 22 rebounds in a double overtime win against the Suns. DeMarcus Cousins puts up 28 points, 17 rebounds against the Mavericks. AD puts up 37 points on the Bulls. Man, we got some scores, man. Gordon Hayward, 39 on the Magic. Damian Lillard also had 39 against the Knicks. 6 threes made. DeLon Wright puts 28 up against the 76ers in a 15-point win. The Pacers beat the Raptors on 36 points from Malcolm Brogdon. Good game there. LeBron scores 46 on the Cavs. 7 threes. He said, Nets? You guys losing to these guys? Come on, I'm going to just drop a light 46. Michael Porter Jr. off the bench puts up 30 points with 6 threes against the Mavericks. Michael Porter Jr. is probably one of the funniest players to watch. I guess funny is the word. He shoots the ball so much. Like I swear, when he's in the game and he touches the ball, he's shooting it. He's shooting. He'll dribble the ball up the floor, pull up 3, just for no reason. Just a pull up 3. He'll make it, but just a pull up 3 out of nowhere. I'm just like, it's like 4 seconds into the shot clock, he's just pulling from 3. I'm like, what? Jeez, he's electric though. He's good. Obviously, he put up 30. Jason Tatum scores 24 in his return, but was outshined by Jaylen Brown, who had 26 against the Bulls. Curry puts up 36 points on 7 threes against the T-Wolves. And that's all the games. Really, that's all the big name scorers, big close games, big upsets, stuff like that. Yeah, and I guess in the second Cavs-Nets game, Sexton had 25. I think Kevin Durant and James Harden both had 38 points in their first meeting. That's why they're not up there for 40 bomb. Because you got to score 40 to get up there if you lose. And then I got down here at the bottom left. You guys can see. If not, if you're on Spotify, then obviously you can't see. But I got league leaders down here. I will go over them all. Don't worry if you're listening. I put the first and second place leaders on here, just so I didn't want to do all 5 of them. I guess I could have done like 3. Could have done a third column over here, but that's fine. For points per game, it's Bradley Beal. The Wizards suck, but Bradley Beal still knows how to score. I mean, obviously, 34.5 a game. That's 35 a game, bro. That's crazy. Imagine playing a team and you're like, oh, we're playing the Wizards? Psh. Oh, but Beal might score 60. So we're going to have to score more than him. If you can score more than Bradley Beal, you're usually pretty good. Kevin Durant's second in the league right now with 30.4 points per game. Rebounding-wise, we got Andre Drummond, who is leading the league at 14.6 rebounds. And not to be outdone is Clint Capella, who has 14.5 rebounds. Sorry, playing iPhone games with my girlfriend. I know I shouldn't be doing that in a podcast. That's all right. Assists per game, James Harden leading the league at 10.8, and Luka is somewhat close behind at 9.9. And this craziest thing is third place is Jokic. Jokic is having 9.4, I believe, assists per game, which is crazy for a center. Best assists per game for centers. Jokic last year. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry if that was really loud. I just punched my microphone. Jokic. Oh, I guess this is technically this year. Okay, well, technically this year he's averaging 9.3, but he's leading. Yeah. So, assists per game by centers of all time, with a minimum of 57.5 games played per 82 games in a season. Jokic so far this year is going to break the record. He's at 9.3. Wilt Chamberlain in 1967 and 68 had 8.6. Chamberlain the year before that had 7.8. 2 years ago, Jokic had 7.3. And last year, Jokic had 7. 3 years ago, Jokic had 6.1. Bill Russell in 1966-67 had 6. Lacey in 79 and 80 had 5.7. This year, Domantas Sabonis at 5.6. Joakim Noah had 5.4 in 2013. Vlade Divac in 2003 had 5. So, yeah, at this rate, Jokic will be the center with the most assists per game in a season. That was the hardest sentence I think I've ever had to say in my life. Jokic will break the record for most assists per game by a center in a season this year if he keeps it up at 9.3. He only needs to get 8.7 assists per game, and technically he breaks the record. So, blocks per game, Miles Turner right now balling out on the defensive side with 4.1, and Rudy not too close behind, but in second with 2.7, Rudy Gobert. 3-pointers made, which is crazy because CJ broke his foot a week and a half ago. But he's still the leader at 4.8 3-pointers made per game. And Steph Curry is second at 4.4 3-pointers per game. So that's crazy to think that CJ is still balling. Even though he's not even playing. He's still leading the league in 3-pointers made. Gosh dang it, dude. Golf on the iPhone is hard. I'm going to wrap it up before I keep playing golf and wasting your guys' time. It's a good episode. Next episode, the Super Bowl will not have happened yet, but that's okay. Next episode, we'll probably dive more into the NBA, have an NBA special, just because there's not going to be any football going on. We can talk a little bit about football, but I pretty much gave my piece about the Super Bowl. So whatever else happens in the league from now till next Tuesday, I guess we'll talk about. But I think we might have an NBA special and go into NBA a little bit next week. Get back into it. Get back into like the bubble podcast. Those were fun. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. Good week, good podcast. I had fun. Hope you guys had fun listening. Thank you everybody again for listening. Like and subscribe to the YouTube. Download the podcast. Check in the description for all my links. And yeah. Thanks again, everybody, for listening, and take it easy. Peace.